They told me justice would heal the pain. But nobody told me it would destroy who I am. My name is Tom Walker. And this is the story of how I went from a husband to a hunter. Justice is a complex and often misunderstood concept, often viewed through the lens of societal rules and moral obligations. At its core, however, it is both a personal and moral journey, one that stretches beyond mere legal procedures and into the heart of emotional tolls and sacrifices. When a person is driven by a need to correct a wrong or settle a score, the path they choose may lead them down a road where the cost of their decisions is measured in more than just legal terms. It is here, in the pursuit of justice, where personal transformation often occurs, but not without significant emotional and psychological costs. Seeking justice often begins as a desire to right a wrong, but as the journey unfolds, the emotional burden of that pursuit begins to weigh heavily on the person. Justice is not just a legal concept, it is an emotional one as well. The act of pursuing justice, whether through the law or personal retribution, often forces individuals to confront their deepest fears and most painful truths. For those who embark on this journey, the pursuit is not just about seeing the wrongdoer punished, but about finding closure and, ultimately, healing from the wounds that drove them to seek justice in the first place. The emotional toll of seeking justice cannot be overstated. As the character at the center of this narrative experiences, the process of navigating through personal betrayal and loss can be devastating. The internal battle between right and wrong, vengeance and peace, is often not just theoretical. It becomes a constant companion, one that shapes every decision and influences every action. The quest for justice can erode one's mental and emotional stability, leaving scars that are not easily healed. The psychological cost of this journey is far-reaching, impacting not only the person on their quest but those around them as well. This personal transformation, which emerges from the pursuit of justice, is not always a positive one. The transformation is often one of hardening. The individual becomes less the person they once were, altered by the weight of their decisions. This journey forces them to reconcile their sense of morality with the reality of the world they inhabit. What they once believed to be right may no longer seem so clear-cut, as they see the lengths to which they must go to achieve what they deem as justice. They may find themselves questioning the very principles that once guided them, and in doing so, the price of their pursuit becomes even more evident. As the story unfolds, the protagonist's emotional struggle becomes evident. The realization that justice comes at a personal cost, one that might leave the seeker emotionally scarred or irrevocably changed, sets the tone for the narrative. The battle is not just against external forces, but against an internal moral compass that constantly shifts under the weight of their experiences. As they grapple with the decisions they make, the consequences of those decisions, and the pain of those affected, the protagonist is forced to redefine who they are and what they stand for. Their sense of right and wrong, shaped by a lifetime of experience, becomes distorted as they navigate the murky waters of vengeance, retribution, and justice. The journey through justice is one marked by sacrifice, not just of time or effort, but of personal integrity, peace of mind, and even relationships. The protagonist's story is a testament to the idea that seeking justice, while a noble pursuit, often leads to personal loss, forcing the individual to choose between their moral ideals and the reality of achieving what they believe to be right. Ultimately, it's a journey that reveals the cost of justice, a price that is paid not in money or resources, but in the very essence of who the person becomes by the end of it. The decisions made along the way leave permanent marks, and the person who started the journey may not be the person who finishes it. In the end, the pursuit of justice, while offering a resolution to the conflict, may not provide the healing that the protagonist originally sought. The emotional toll of this quest often lingers, leaving behind a changed person, someone who has paid a high price to right a wrong. And as they stand at the conclusion of their journey, they may realize that the true cost of justice is not found in the outcome, but in the journey itself. Even if justice is served, the emotional weight that follows often serves as a reminder of the deep sacrifices made. The protagonist is left to face a new reality, one that may be far less fulfilling than they had hoped. As the narrative continues, it delves deeper into the character's personal transformation, exploring how the toll of seeking justice has shaped their relationships and their own sense of identity. The quest for justice not only impacts the individual but also the people around them. Those who stood by their side may find themselves affected by the protagonist's actions, and the damage to relationships can often be just as painful as the external conflict itself. What happens next will reveal whether the protagonist's pursuit of justice has brought the peace they sought, or if it has only deepened the wounds that began their journey in the first place. It is this deep emotional conflict that lies at the heart of the story, a reflection on the true cost of seeking justice and what it ultimately means for the person who embarks on such a transformative journey. Justice is often portrayed as a simple resolution to a wrong, but this narrative shows that it is far more complicated. It is a path of emotional destruction and personal evolution, where the outcome may be victory, but the price paid is immense. The protagonist must navigate this journey with no clear guide, forced to confront their own doubts, fears, and the shifting sands of morality. Each step they take is both a step forward in their pursuit of justice and a step further into a world of moral ambiguity, where the line between right and wrong becomes increasingly difficult to define. Betrayal trauma occurs when someone you trust, such as a parent, partner, or institution, violates that trust, leading to profound emotional and psychological effects. This type of trauma can significantly impact your mental health, relationships, and overall well-being. Tom's world had shattered after the brutal betrayal of his wife Eleanor and her brother Rick. The violent truth of their actions hit harder than the physical assault on his daughter Ava. As Tom wrestled with his emotions and the need for justice, he embarked on a dangerous path, a legal battle that would not only expose corporate fraud but also uncover the hidden criminal empire tied to the people who had once been closest to him. At first, it seemed as though Tom's fight was a personal vendetta, fueled by rage and revenge. His first goal was simple: to ensure those who hurt his daughter paid for their crimes. But as he dug deeper into the financial world his wife and brother-in-law had built, Tom realized that what had initially been a domestic issue was, in fact, a larger, systemic crime. Corporate fraud was not merely the result of personal betrayal, it was part of a widespread operation that included money laundering, bribery, and illegal financial schemes. Tom's decision to expose the truth would uncover a labyrinth of corruption that spread through business practices and local government. As he set out to investigate, Tom began piecing together the financial misconduct his brother-in-law, Rick, had orchestrated. He discovered an extensive network of fraudulent real estate transactions, money laundering operations, and shell companies designed to hide illicit profits. Rick's business was a front for more than just shady deals, it was a carefully constructed empire of deceit. And Eleanor, his wife, had been complicit, using her influence to assist in moving stolen money into offshore accounts, protecting Rick's interests at the expense of their family. The legal battle that ensued would push Tom to his limits. In the beginning, his motivations were simple: he wanted justice for Ava and himself. He wanted to see Rick and Eleanor pay for what they had done, but as the investigation unfolded, Tom was forced to confront deeper ethical questions. How far was he willing to go to achieve his version of justice? What were the consequences of using legal power as a weapon of vengeance? Tom's search for the truth took him beyond the confines of his home. It became a full-scale investigation, one that blurred the lines between right and wrong. He soon found himself using the very tools of the legal system he had once trusted to expose those who had wronged him. In doing so, he faced an internal moral conflict, using the legal system as a means of retaliation. As Tom sought to dismantle Rick's empire, he realized that his pursuit of justice was as much about personal satisfaction as it was about exposing a greater truth about corporate corruption. The first breakthrough came when Tom discovered a trail of financial transactions that led straight to Rick and Eleanor. With the help of an old military contact, he secured access to critical documents detailing Rick's criminal operations. These documents revealed more than just tax evasion and fraud, they unveiled a conspiracy to defraud investors, siphoning off money from unsuspecting individuals, and using their wealth to grease the palms of politicians and law enforcement officers. The sheer scale of Rick's operation shocked Tom, but it also galvanized him. What had begun as a fight to protect his family now became a crusade to expose corporate corruption on a massive scale. Tom's efforts led him to a confrontation with his wife. As he pieced together evidence of her involvement, he realized that Eleanor had been more than just a passive participant in Rick's schemes. She had actively assisted in hiding assets, moving money between accounts, and covering up the trail of fraud. For Tom, the emotional toll was intense. He had once loved this woman, trusted her, and now he saw her for what she truly was, a willing accomplice in a network of corruption. The legal battle now had a dual purpose. Not only was Tom seeking justice for Ava, but he was also seeking to expose the full extent of Eleanor's betrayal. But as Tom moved forward, he faced mounting resistance. Rick, protected by his criminal associates, used his influence to try to bury the investigation. He had connections in law enforcement, and Tom soon found himself up against not just Rick and Eleanor but a network of corrupt officials who would stop at nothing to protect their interests. Tom's legal battle turned into a game of cat and mouse, where every step forward was met with a counterattack designed to delay or derail the investigation. As the pressure built, Tom found himself making decisions that he had never imagined he would have to make. He pushed the boundaries of what was ethical, and in doing so, he risked losing his own moral compass. Would he be able to differentiate between the quest for justice and the desire for revenge? Would he cross the line into something darker? It was at this moment that Tom's personal conflict reached its peak. He was no longer just a man seeking justice, he was a man who had become deeply entangled in the very systems of corruption he had once sought to expose. As Tom navigated the treacherous waters of the legal system, he had to make difficult choices. His investigation brought him into contact with those who had been victims of Rick's schemes, but it also made him question the methods he was using. Was it enough to simply expose the truth, or did he need to ensure that those responsible paid the price for their actions? The tipping point came when Tom learned the full scope of the betrayal. His wife had been making large withdrawals from their joint accounts and funneling the money into offshore accounts. She had been planning a financial takedown, an effort to strip him of everything he had worked for. The depth of her deceit shattered him. But this discovery also gave him the ammunition he needed to take down Rick and everyone involved in the corruption network. Tom's efforts culminated in a high-stakes legal battle that saw Rick and his associates arrested, their operations dismantled. With Rick and Eleanor facing criminal charges, Tom found himself at a crossroads. His pursuit of justice had cost him everything he once held dear, but it had also exposed the truth. The legal battle had become a symbol of the fight between right and wrong, of how far one man would go to protect his family from those who sought to destroy it. The aftermath of Tom's legal battle was bittersweet. He had exposed corporate corruption, dismantled a criminal network, and brought justice to the victims of fraud. But he had also lost his family in the process. Eleanor was gone, and Rick's empire lay in ruins. Tom had won, but at what cost? As he looked back on the journey, he realized that justice had a price that he was willing to pay to ensure that his daughter and his legacy would be protected. The legal battle was over, but the scars of betrayal would last a lifetime. Tom had emerged victorious, but he had also lost something irreplaceable in the process. The question that remained was whether he could ever truly heal from the wounds caused by the people he had once trusted. Temporary relief, long-term distress. While revenge may offer short-term relief by restoring a sense of justice, it typically prolongs negative emotions like anger and resentment, hindering emotional healing. The momentary satisfaction derived from avenging a perceived wrong often fades, leaving the individual still grappling with unresolved emotions. Studies have shown that people who engage in acts of revenge may initially feel empowered, but soon, the negative emotions that triggered the desire for revenge return, and they can even become more intense, creating an emotional cycle that's hard to escape. It's as if the individual becomes trapped in their own anger, unable to release themselves from the chains of past grievances. Cycle of retaliation. Engaging in revenge can trigger a cycle of retaliatory actions, escalating conflicts, and making resolution more challenging. What starts as a single act of revenge often spirals into ongoing conflict, with each side trying to outdo the other. This cycle of vengeance keeps both parties trapped in a state of constant animosity, with neither gaining true peace. The more revenge is pursued, the further away peace becomes, until eventually, both individuals or groups involved in the conflict find themselves emotionally drained and psychologically scarred. The desire to win justice often results in the loss of it entirely, as both parties are left bitter and estranged. Increased stress and health risks. The sustained anger associated with revenge can elevate stress levels, contributing to physical health issues such as heart disease, obesity, and diabetes. Revenge isn't just mentally taxing, it can be physically harmful. Constantly reliving the hurt or planning how to exact revenge raises cortisol levels, a stress hormone that, when elevated for extended periods, can damage the immune system, make one more susceptible to illness, and even affect long-term physical health. The emotional toll isn't isolated to feelings alone, it infiltrates the body, eroding both mental and physical well-being. Mental health strain. Individuals seeking revenge may experience heightened anxiety, depression, shame, and paranoia, as these emotions become entrenched and difficult to overcome. The obsession with a need for retribution can consume an individual's thoughts and cloud their judgment, making it difficult to experience any sense of emotional relief. People who fixate on revenge often struggle with feelings of worthlessness or fear, questioning their ability to move on from the situation. These feelings intensify over time, leading to depression and anxiety disorders. The mental strain can isolate the person from others, fostering a sense of distrust and paranoia that feeds into further resentment. Post-traumatic embitterment disorder, PTSD. In some cases, individuals may develop PTSD, characterized by persistent bitterness, intrusive thoughts, and fantasies of revenge, often following a perceived injustice. This condition manifests when an individual holds on to the pain of betrayal or injustice for an extended period. Their entire worldview becomes colored by bitterness and anger, and they begin to see the world as a hostile place. The focus on retribution overrides the individual's ability to move past the trauma, trapping them in a perpetual state of emotional distress. PTSD can significantly affect one's ability to trust others, heal emotionally, or regain a sense of peace. Strained relationships. Revenge can damage relationships, leading to isolation and a breakdown in trust among friends, family, and colleagues. When revenge is pursued, even if justified in one's mind, the process often alienates those around the individual. Relationships that once seemed solid are tested by the bitterness or secrecy that comes with seeking vengeance. The need for retribution can lead to actions that hurt others, including those who may not have been directly involved in the conflict. Trust, once shattered, is difficult to rebuild, leaving the person seeking revenge without the support of those they care about. Reputation damage. Acts of revenge, especially those that are public or extreme, can harm your reputation and have long-lasting social repercussions. When revenge is sought, particularly in a public setting or through dramatic actions, it often results in the person involved being viewed as vindictive or emotionally unstable. Society tends to label those who seek revenge as people who are incapable of moving forward, and this perception can stain one's reputation. Even if the person feels justified in their actions, the public often perceives them as someone incapable of healing or letting go, which can cause social alienation. Over time, this affects one's professional and personal relationships, making it difficult to regain the trust and respect of others. Forgiveness. Letting go of grudges can lead to emotional relief and improved mental health. Forgiveness is not about excusing the wrong done to you, it is about freeing yourself from the grip of past hurt. When a person chooses to forgive, they release the power that the other person's actions have over them, allowing themselves the emotional space to heal. It's a powerful choice that requires strength, not weakness, and has been shown to lower stress levels, improve emotional well-being, and lead to greater personal peace. While forgiving may seem difficult or even impossible at times, it can ultimately create an emotional release that paves the way for healthier future relationships. Constructive expression, channeling emotions through writing, counseling, or creative outlets can provide catharsis without negative consequences. When someone feels anger or betrayal, expressing those feelings through creative outlets like writing, painting, or other forms of art can help process the emotions in a way that doesn't damage one's mental health or relationships. Therapy or journaling also provides a safe space for people to confront their feelings, leading to greater emotional understanding and growth. The act of channeling anger creatively or constructively helps individuals find clarity and resolution without becoming consumed by the desire for revenge. Focus on personal growth. Redirecting energy toward personal goals and self-improvement can be empowering and fulfilling. When a person focuses on growing themselves, whether through fitness, education, or pursuing a passion, they are able to find fulfillment outside of the pursuit of revenge. This shift in focus moves the individual away from negative emotions and into more positive and empowering areas of life. By investing time and energy into self-improvement, individuals find that they not only heal from past trauma, but also create a brighter, more hopeful future for themselves. If you're struggling with feelings of anger or the desire for revenge, seeking support from a mental health professional can be a constructive step toward healing and emotional well-being. Therapy can help process the hurt and offer strategies for releasing anger in healthy ways. Healing from betrayal takes time and effort, but it's possible when one takes the steps to invest in their mental health and personal growth. In exploring the universal themes of justice, revenge, and personal growth, it is essential to delve into the complexities of justice as perceived both in personal and societal contexts. These themes are not only central to literature and philosophy but also resonate deeply within everyday human experiences. When one seeks justice, they often encounter moral dilemmas that highlight the often murky waters between right and wrong. The journey of our protagonist, Tom Walker, is a powerful lens through which these themes are explored, offering us valuable insights into the costs of revenge and the difficult pursuit of justice. The notion of justice is deeply ingrained in societal structures, yet it is often elusive. Societies have developed legal systems to embody justice, but this formalized system sometimes fails to